Welcome to the self-massage workshop. Okay, so we're going to be talking about some key words first that I've written down. And then we're going to be working on just a few techniques that I wrote down here. And this is in no means inclusive of all massage or exhaustive of a list of techniques. We're just going to be working on a couple different things, since we just have a short period of time, that are really effective tools for you to take home that you can use on yourself to do massage on yourself whenever you like. So first of all, does anybody know what massage is? What is massage? You get an A! So but let's take that apart a little bit. Manual manipulation of the soft tissues of the body. Okay, what are the soft tissues? Muscles and fascia are your soft tissues. The connective. Oh no, my posters are getting ruined. Sorry. Connective tissue. So let's talk. So the connective tissue and the muscles are what make up what we consider the soft tissues of the body, right? As opposed to all of your arteries and the tubes that run through us and that run through the soft tissue. So you have all of your circulation of the blood and the lymph, which we're going to talk about as well. One of the things that massage does is it helps a lot with circulation and getting all of the toxins that get built up in your system, getting it worked out. It's part of what causes the pain in knots and things. And we'll get to that as well, the knots. So fascia is kind of, I might just have to put them away.
I think so. Release it.
Yeah. Fascia is kind of a buzzword for me and for the body working world and the health world. And it's not anything new, but it's something that is now being acknowledged as a body system, where it wasn't really before. It's historically, when they do cadaver labs, anatomy is a science of the scalpel. We as humans went in and cut apart the body into pieces and said, this is, like if we look at the shoulder, this is this muscle, the deltoid, and then we've got the triceps and the biceps and all these different things, and we cut them apart and said, this is one unit and this is another unit. It connects, the muscle connects bone, tendon to bone, and then crosses a joint and connects to another bone so that it can move that limb at that joint. But it's useful to learn these things, but then we have to understand that that's a science that we invented. The body works that way, but also it works all in conjunction with itself, with everything. So like you move this, your bicep, you feel your pec moving, like everything is connected. So what we have are these myofascial lines. I have that here. The myofascial meridians, or the anatomy trains, which are these lines of pull that you feel a lot when you're doing yoga, where you feel like a stretch, and you can feel it all the way from your wrist, all the way down your side of your body, all the way down to your foot, or all the way down your neck, all the way down your back, all the way down the back of your legs, through your calves to your feet. You feel these lines of pull, that it's all these different connected muscles that look like the myofascial meridians. It looks like sausage links of muscles that are all together. So that's why when you release things in your neck, it affects things all the way down to your feet. So then fascia, what is fascia? Fascia is the matrix of you. It's between and in all of your cells. It surrounds all of the muscles and everything. It's what makes you human-shaped. Like if you didn't have a skeleton, you'd still look like a human because of your fascia. So let's feel it. Who wants to touch it? Are you ready? Okay, so let's start on your arm. All right? So I want you to take your skin and your arm and pull it up. Like give yourself a pinch, not so it's hard. And then what we're going to do is roll it. And we're already doing the first technique on our list, which is called skin rolling. And this is working the fascia. So you can do it two different ways. We can do it this way, where you roll, or you can do where you pinch up like this. And I'll walk around so that we can see. So you can have a grip like this, or a grip like this. And then if you're working with two hands, like if we take our leg on our calf, just to show you, we can pinch with two hands. And then what you want to do is pick it up and roll, okay? So what we're doing is we're separating the layers of the tissue. So what our bodies look like underneath, it doesn't look like this. I wish I had the big one. It only looks like this once they cut all the fascia off. Because that's what they do when they do a cadaver lab or they're studying anatomy, is they cut all the fascia off. The fascia looks like all these sheaths of clear, like plastic wrap that wrap everything together. So there's all these layers, and everything in living tissue is fluid and dynamic. It's hydrated, and it needs to have this hydration so that all the layers can slide and glide over each other. So when you're doing the skin rolling, you might feel where it's a little crinkly, where it feels like there's places where it's the layers are stuck to each other. And what we're doing with this is we're creating space so that everything can slide and glide and flow. Okay, so we're gonna be doing this all over our bodies. Okay, should we start? All right, we already kind of started, but let's do some more. Any questions so far? Okay, so let's start with our face. We're going to do some facial fascia, okay? So let's start on the eyebrows. So we're going to grab our eyebrows and like pull out. So like kind of pinch it and pull. And then you can even try to grab like a chunk going like vertically and try to roll your eyebrow. So you're kind of picking up a chunk like this. Do you see what I'm doing? And rolling it across. And it should feel really nice. And we're going to throw in some other techniques as we're going, because this is kind of the most complicated. Well, this one is too. But the other one we're going to work on is lymph drainage, which like I'm cutting out a lot. So this is just really basic. Lymph drainage, the lymph doesn't have its own pumping mechanism. So you have the heart and the circulatory system, which is your blood, right, that runs. But the lymph has vessels, just like your veins and your arteries, but it doesn't have a heart to pump it. So it only moves when we move, and sometimes it moves with the veins and the arteries, but that's why it has like these ducts that collect it, right? So we store it, but like if you don't move a lot, then your lymph just sits. And also your fascia gets more sticky together, because the fascia, it needs to be, like we said, hydrated, but also it needs to have a lot of elasticity. A lot of the properties of fascia are the elasticity. That's why when you pinch up like this and you let go, it goes back down. It doesn't stay up, right? So, but as we get older and as we are more sedentary, things solidify and become like gel and like honey and get all stuck together. So part of what's really good about keeping up with self-massage is working against that process, so that you're keeping your body so that all the layers can slide and glide and move. Like when we're stretching, we're not really elongating the tissues. We're creating more hydration between the layers so everything can slide and glide. Does that make sense? Everybody with me? Okay, so back to what we were doing. So we're just going to do some like gentle, so the lymph drainage is really gentle. You don't need pressure for lymph drainage. Any massage will drain the lymph. So when we're doing that, it's just really gentle. But we can also do some motions where we're doing like circles. We're kind of taking strokes across just to like create some space. We're thinking about creating space between the layers of tissue. And in our head, like it gets really tight. You can do your head. We're just kind of, I like to do on the head just like wide fingers. And another thing you can do on the places you have hair is you can pull on your hair and just really gently and gently lift the skin off of your scalp. and kind of move it around a little. Kind of take chunks of your hair and just kind of make little circles. It's a nice way to do a head massage. The other thing we can do is we can take our ears and pull on them. So like get a grip on your ears, and you're using it to manipulate the temporal bone, and you can kind of just create space in your head. And you can kind of just gently, like just get a good grip and just gently pull out your ears. And you can do this for a while and it feels really good. But we won't do too long because I want to move on to all the things. All right, so let's work on the jaw. So this muscle here in the jaw, so if you clench your jaw, you can feel it. So this muscle here, it's called the masseter. Do I have my head? Are you on here, Mr. Masseter? Yeah, it's in here. I don't know if you guys can see, but that's where the masseter is. It says that. So this is the strongest muscle area-wise in the body. It's the one that does all of our talking and chewing. So what I like to do is start right underneath my cheekbone. And this is where we're going to do some deep stripping, is what it's called. And just kind of with your jaw kind of open, we're going to just slowly go from the top of the cheekbone down to the jawbone. And you can do circles, and then we can do some skin rolling as well, where we kind of like pull up our cheek, kind of like your aunt pinching your cheeks. But you can pull them out too, just like pulling at your face. And the cool thing about doing it to yourself is that, like, if you're going too hard, then go less. You know, it's you. Hi, Pink. I know, I'm sure you do. You can do a little bit on the chin. You can kind of do some just overall face sweeping, just doing the sinuses, just bringing kind of the upper ones, and then the lower, I just kind of go on either side of my nose and sweep around my eyes and up. And then just do some big, just get like in with this part of your hand to do your cheeks so that you're not using your fingers too hard, and just smush your face together. Smush. And you can do the temples too. I don't know, I just think it's kind of like, some people really like the temples, it's up to you. Okay. How's everybody feeling so far?
Good.
So these you can spend a lot more time on, but we only have an hour, so I just want to kind of go quickly through things. Okay, let's do our necks. The neck is an area that, like, I'll often when I get people coming in for massage, the neck is an area that everybody likes to get worked on. So you have the occiput is the bottom of your skull, and you can feel it where it is. And if you want to lie down when you do this too, it can be nice. But I'll just turn around so you can see. So it's really good to massage these little muscles in here. You can do little circles. We can also try to do some skin rolling where you kind of go on one side and try to pick it up and push it across, where you're trying to pinch and lift and pull. Is everybody understanding the skin rolling, or I can go around and show you? You guys got it? Yeah. It can be very, very effective at creating that space between the layers so that everything can move better. So you can kind of go and do, and the skin rolling you can do in every direction. But we're going to go, I'm just kind of doing my neck going down in kind of rows. So like here, here, here. Right, you can go right over your spine with this. And then coming from here, I just like to kind of sweep. So like kind of reach back as far as I can. You don't need it that firm of a grip, but as much as you want, and then just kind of pulling forward. I'm doing this a few times, kind of getting different angles, like going out, going in. You can try to do some skin rolling, so maybe from the other side, and kind of getting a pinch, and just going slow, because it can be really tight, like mine is really tight right now. And going right over the shoulder joint itself to release all of the tension just like inside the joint and around there. It's hard to get your back, but I did bring, I want everybody to get a chance to play with the balls. And I've got this one.
Yeah.
So this one is harder, and what you can do with this, you can do a couple things. You can do some work right in the occiput, like we talked about, and roll it down your spine, or you can get into like one spot or into the hip with it. So these you can use, can I have one? So you can use them in your hand to like use to do massage, or you can put them down and roll on them, or on a wall. So we can show you a couple of things with that, but back to the shoulders. And so we're kind of rolling out the skin over the shoulder. Coming around the front of the shoulder here is really important. And then into the pecs as well. So we're going to just try to skin roll everything. And just release our fascia and get to know it. And pay attention, like, what does it feel like? What are the textures you're feeling, you know? Getting to know what your fascia feels like. Where does it feel like it's stuck? Where does it feel like it's just flowing? It feels good. What's the temperature, the texture? So what we're doing, some of it is palpation. That's basically just feeling what we're feeling under the skin. Like feel where things feel wiry or hard, or if it feels, how would you describe it, you know? Think about these things. Okay, so getting into the pecs, and because you're doing it on yourself, I even go right over my breast tissue. So like I go underneath my arm, so I'm lifting up from the rib cage. So I'm over my ribs, and I'm just kind of picking up the skin here and rolling. And I'm just gonna go right over my breast and even use my breast to like pick up the skin underneath. So I'm not really massaging the breast itself. I'm just using it as a tool to release the muscles underneath. Fair enough? And like underneath too, getting the all over the rib cage. You can go right over the sternum. I don't like it. Okay. Obviously my sternum is tight. Make sure you do both sides the same. So coming up through the upper pecs, through here, and then underneath the arm and around over the ribs. And we can even do over our bellies too, with the skin rolling and pulling up. One way to do stomach massage too, your intestines, the large intestine is shaped like an M, and it goes like a clock on your belly. That's the direction. So if you think about there being a clock on your belly, if you're feeling constipated especially, it's really helpful that you can just rub like there's a clock face on your belly. So on the left side we go down, over the top we go over, and on the right side we go from the hip up and around. And that just helps with your digestion. If you're having the opposite, like diarrhea, then don't do that. So yeah, we can just roll out our belly. Going to the back, I like to reach behind me and just pick up down, as far down as I can get on my sacrum, and just roll right up over my spine. And I find this to be incredibly effective, even if you don't do any other massage.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Lloyd.
That was great. Do it again.
We can take it from, I go like this way, Take it from the spine and go out to the sides. As much as you can reach.
So now it's good not to be too skinny.
Huh?
Now it's good to have some flesh.
Yeah, it's good to have some flesh to manipulate for sure. And then we'll do our hips. So, and I've been working on my legs where I just kind of go all the way around like a spiral and do the whole thing. It's really fun. Okay, so we'll start like at the sacrum and just really, so just kind of stick one leg out like this, or you can do it laying down. And then I go around like in the thigh. And just working all the way around the leg. Yeah, you feel it, right? And this is actually good for cellulite too. Mm. But what I researched, because people ask me the cellulite question all the time, and I really don't give a rat's ass about cellulite. I have it. Everybody does. But people ask me, so I looked it up in the current research on it. And they do have even like special tools that create this pulling up sensation. And what they find is that it is incredibly effective, but if you stop doing it, then the cellulite comes back. So it's like, it works as long as you do it, the practice. But if you wanted it to go away and you did this every day, it would. I'm sure it would. But then as soon as you stop, then it might start coming back again. But you can feel where it's tight, you know? It's restricted. And then you should be able to feel, too, in the areas you've worked on, sort of life kind of rushing in. It might feel a little warmer. Do we need the fan back on? Is it okay? When we get to the knee, we can go right over the knee with it, just pulling up. So most massage, you don't want to go over the joints, like when you're pushing. But this, since we're pulling up, we can go right over the bones and the joints. So and the calf is super good. How's everybody's hands doing? After this, we'll do hand massage.
Yes, and in the
forearms, yeah. Okay. And we'll save the feet.
Yes, always, because now, since I learned this with you, I do so often, and after I have my...
I know, you have to massage your arms after, yeah. So maybe in between legs, we can take a break and do some on our arms.
And then around the ankle?
Around the ankle, definitely, yeah. You can definitely do around the ankle, especially if you have trouble with your ankles. It's good. Just as much as you can pick up the skin and roll it over the top of the foot. The bottom is a little hard to do the skin rolling, but there's a lot of things we can do for the feet, for feet massage. I like to go in with my knuckle and my foot. There's a lot we can do on the feet, so I might save that for last because there's just so much. So I'm going to take a break between legs and do a little bit on my arms. So kind of going the same, like all the way around. Getting like, I'm just trying to get all the surfaces because it just feels so nice to get all of that tissue released. Creating all that good juicy space. Okay, and for the hands, a lot of what irritates me is in here. I don't know about you guys. But yeah, you can do right over the wrists. And I like to just really stretch this one out in here. And go in with, you can even take an elbow to your hand.
But can you do the skin pulling too?
Yeah, definitely. 100%. All across your palm and the back of the hand. You can do the skin rolling. One thing you can do with the fingers is like pull on them and like rotate a little bit. But I like to roll this part out in here in the thumb pad. It's really good. Do the other arm and then do the other leg because that's just how I'm doing it. So I'm starting just up at the shoulder. I'm coming around here to get like the back of the scapula as much as I can reach. I'm trying to just do the skin rolling all around, just like pulling up as much as I can to like create that space. We are tensile creatures, like everything, like the skeleton is a structure that's pushing out kind of, and then the muscles all and the fascia pull it all together and create this tension system. So we're all like held together and elastic so we can move, and then it'll come back the way it was. Mm-hmm. But then to restructure things is sometimes hard because we do have that elasticity. So if you have areas that are tight, like I'm having trouble with my calves right now, and it's really difficult to get to them to the relax because they've just always been like that. And they want to go back to the way they were. So to create new patterns, we have to do a lot of work and a lot of practice and create new ways of doing things so that those patterns will stick.
Feel anything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that whole like building your tools, you know, creating your own patterns so that you're not following the ones that are laid out for you, but you're creating it for yourself. But the self-massage is something that is available to you that you can do on your own. You don't need anybody else, you know. You can do it just at home or whenever. I'm always that weird massage therapist, like stretching and massaging myself in the corner. Okay.
But it feels so good.
Yeah. Okay. So then I'm gonna do my other leg. So we do the legs. Do you want to sit down? You okay? If you're cool there, then don't worry about it. So I'm gonna start again by the sacrum. And just pulling on my hip, kind of coming forward. And again, just going to do a spiral around my leg. Anybody have any questions so far? I'm good. So we talked a little bit about the palpation, like feeling the texture, the consistency, like the size, location, tenderness, feeling things that like, what do you feel, like try to describe what feels different, you know, like, what does it feel like? I don't know. Can anybody throw out any descriptions? What do you feel? For me, it feels crinkly, you know, like tinfoil or something.
Stretchy.
Yeah.
Super stretchy.
Yeah. And you feel that elasticity. It's cool. Yeah, so we're going to talk about the trigger points in a little bit as well after we do this. And then we can work more on that. Okay. So yeah, we are skin rolled. How's everybody feeling? Feels good, doesn't it? I'd like to do experiments where we do the skin rolling before yoga and see if it makes a difference. That'd be cool. Okay, so just a little bit on the lymph drainage, and then we'll move on to the trigger points in deep tissue. So lymph drainage, all it is all massage drains the lymph. I think I might have said that, but like you just need really light strokes going towards the heart and towards your lymph nodes. The major ones are groin, armpit, neck, and then there's other ones in your gut as well. And that helps the lymph. It circulates your hormones, but also all the toxins. It's your toxin removal systems, right? So we want to it's kind of like you're working a tube of toothpaste, you know. But we start like closer to the area, and then but we're going towards the heart. So we're just kind of doing sweeps like this, going right over the joints, right over everything, just like that. And like even you can do this just when you're putting lotion on, if you put lotion on. But it's good to do on a regular basis, just to keep especially if you're sitting a lot, if you're working a lot. It's not as much of a thing for the back, but it feels nice because you know, it's kind of close to the heart anyway. It's more for the limbs. But we can go like right over the armpit like this. And it's something that doesn't take a lot of work.
Unless you've got lots of hair.
Oh, does it? Oh, maybe you need some lotion.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you want me to get the oil? Okay. You can do it with pants on maybe, or through something, you know. It's better on the skin, but... okay, great. Now we're all like loosey-goosey. Okay, so now we're getting into some fun things. I mean, not that we're not already having fun. Okay, trigger points. Does anybody know what trigger points are? Trick question. Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe it's like where kind of all the nerves align, like little bundles.
Could be. Yeah. So the science on trigger points is shaky at best. We don't really know what trigger points are. It could be concentrations of nerves. I think it's concentrations of toxins that are built up in the microtears in the muscle fibers, which is what I've learned about knots. So you get microtears in the muscle fibers, and then when they rejoin together, they've got toxins trapped in them, and that's what causes some pain and lack of range of motion and kind of a stuck place. So the circulation always needs to get through. I think of it like traffic, like you have a traffic jam, right? And if you think about your whole body as like a system of highways and traffic, if there's one area there's a traffic jam, it helps to alleviate that, but you also have to work all the areas around because there's still traffic in the rest of the city, right? So if you've got a trigger point, I'm trying to find my trigger point sheet. Oh, here it is. So we can look at this. There's a lot of common ones like in the shoulders. They're all over the place if you want to pass it around. A lot of times when we're doing self-massage, we'll take a tool like this and we'll have a spot and we'll just want to like kill that spot, right? Which that might feel good, but that's not necessarily going to make it go away. You need to also work out the whole area around, which is why the skin rolling is actually used as a precursor to the deeper work so that you're releasing the superficial layer so that you can get to the deeper layers. Because if you just try to go into the deeper layers, sometimes you can really irritate it. It's like anything if you're working with dough or clay where it's like really hard when you start and you need to kind of soften it so that you can bring a lot of the blood to the area and the circulation so that once you release the toxins, the body can drain it out and like get it to your detox organs, your liver and your kidneys, and get it out of your system. Otherwise, like you're gonna get a lot of localized pain in the area. So when you're working on trigger points, I would recommend working the whole area and not just that one spot that hurts, okay? We can use the balls, and I want everybody to have a turn with the balls. I'm going to show you how to kind of roll on it. So let's feel around. Where are people's issues? Should we talk about hips for a minute? I don't know. Because I know most people have issues with the shoulders and the back, but that's one of the hardest places to work on yourself. But you can take the ball and like when you're laying on a mat, like roll it up and down in between the shoulder blade and the spine. Is really just super juicy and all the way up the side of your spine, and then up in this area as well. So like basically those lines are really a nice place to work. And when you're working in the shoulder blade, you can work along the inner spine of the scapula, and then I work in like kind of 3 lines. Can I borrow you for a second?
Yes.
So we can work kind of in 3 lines almost. It's not precise, but along the inner edge of the scapula, and then in the middle, and then along the spine. Okay, so we want to kind of be peeling the meat away from the bone a bit too, to get more space in there. And when you're working with the ball and you're rolling on the ground or on a wall, you can kind of be thinking about that. And if you find that trigger point, you can stay on it. You can do little circles. You can kind of go across it. If you're working on something like your arm or your leg where you can reach it, or you're working on another person, there's different things you can do. Okay, I'm done. With another good tool to use are like either ceramic or wooden spoons. Sometimes you can find those ceramic spoons, and they're actually used for doing scraping and things, and those are really good. I meant to grab some from the kitchen, but it's okay. But, huh? What? Huh?
A tool called the gua sha.
Okay.
That's pretty good. It's like rose quartz.
Yeah. There's a lot of different things you can use as tools. Even like a water bottle you can use to like really get in there. One cool thing with the arm, can I show you? Okay, so everybody grab your arm and kind of like the whole thing, really hard, and then move your fingers like you're playing a piano, and you can feel all the different muscles that go to the different fingers. How fun is that? And you can feel them on both sides. So these are your forearm extensors and these are the flexors. So, and like in these days, I think a lot of it has to do with how much time we spend on the phone. I get a lot of people with issues in the forearms and the thumb as well. Just from, I think a lot of, I mean, here maybe not as much, and it's in some parts of the world, but
No, yeah.
Yeah, always on the phone. So it's good to release our arms. There's different things I've been doing on my own to do massage with my body using like I don't know how many people are flexible enough to do this, but I sort of squeeze my arm in my knee crease. Yeah, you can do it when you're sitting. You don't have to be laying down. And sort of, you can kind of pull it out or just kind of create that pressure for a little bit. So sometimes when you're holding pressure like this, you're so sometimes in yoga too. So like if we're doing like pigeon or something, right? You're kind of cutting off the blood flow for a short period of time. And then when you release it, the blood kind of flows through again. So some of what we're doing with the self-massage, things like that, are doing that, right? And then sometimes we're working on releasing, like actually manually going in and breaking up the muscle fibers, bringing in the circulation to create that space, okay? Another thing I like to do for the calves in this position is going like with the knee. Does anybody ever do this?
No, but I'll start.
This is a great way to work on your calves. Yeah, without using your, so like when you're working, one of the things I wrote down here that's important is the deeper you go, the slower you go. So if you want to put on some pressure, don't underestimate sustained pressure where you're not even moving, you're just holding the pressure, because it can be really effective in releasing the tension. And then you want most of your strokes to go towards the heart. That's the other important thing. And watch out for your joints, you know, and the areas behind your joints where you have a lot of nerves and blood vessels. But like if you're massaging yourself, then it's a lot easier to be working in these areas, especially around the groin, because like it's you don't care. And also you can feel it. So if you start working on a place where it feels like either tingly or like a temperature change or something, like a weird feeling, don't push there, you know, easy enough.
Where's getting here?
Yeah. Oh yeah, the hips. Yeah, so with the hips you can really get in with the ball. Oh yeah, so I wanted to talk about the hips. So I wanted to feel the hips. So if you feel your hip, you can feel just the basic bones. So like, because the hip is bigger than you think. So you've got here, this is the anterior superior iliac spine, the ASIS that sticks out here. That's the front of the ilium. And it wraps around and it goes a lot higher than you think. If you feel it, it's like way up here. And then the leg bone is way down here. You can feel it if you move. You can feel the femur, that bone. And then the areas to work with massage are in between these two. The iliac crest is this, and the ASIS, and then the femur. In here you have the TFL muscle, tensor fasciae latae, that gets really tight, and the glutes. And then you can work all along, and you have this little triangle as the sacrum, right? It's really nice to roll out the sacrum as well, the skin rolling. And then in between the sacrum and all of this area, and the glutes is really nice to work. And I like to get in with the ball or the double ball, because sometimes it's nice to have the two.
What about a foam roller?
A foam roller, yeah, definitely. And you can kind of go on your side even, like right on the ball, and get right into that area. And you can find a spot and just hang out there. But when you do it, and try to relax into it. If you're tensing, this is something people do with foam rollers, like you think you have to go really hard, but really like, if you're tensing, then it's not really working. You want to relax into it. So you want to find a place where you can relax into the pressure. And then also remember to work out the whole area so you're not just concentrating on one spot. Okay. I feel like I've covered so much, and I thought this was going to take forever. So we can do some more of the massage, or I can talk to you guys more about anatomy. What do you want to do? We can do the feet. Should we do the feet?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's do some feet. Okay. So I don't really do reflexology or anything, but I know some of the points in the feet, and basically anywhere you touch is going to be a good point. Okay, I like to kind of sit like this, if you can. Get your foot up. And I like to work with my elbow. So some of the points on the feet are like, there's one that's right in the middle here, but there's also kind of like, if you think about a domino, a 6 domino. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? So there's kind of one line that's like on this inner part, and then one that's like towards the more, like the middle to the outside of the foot. Actually, I could draw it with a dry erase marker. Let's get fancy.
Like the bobbly shower mats. Like,
oh yeah, that's great.
It's my favourite thing in the world is to stand on one of them and go, and then my whole body goes,
yeah.
Like, it's mad, all the senses.
So it's like that. I'll show it to the camera. Which I think is actually still working. So cool. Okay, so you can do these spots. And just kind of hold them or do little circles, or but this is a nice way to work on your own feet. You can go over this part of the foot and then over the toes even with your forearm. If we're using our hands, yeah, we can get in. I like to work on the top here, like this top part of the foot where it meets the toes, because that I feel like gets neglected a lot. I like to do a lot of like this sort of motion with my fingers, where you're like playing on the piano. You can also use different parts of your hands, like this part of your knuckle, this part of your knuckle. You can use this side of your hand, different parts of your thumb. One trick for the thumb I can show you guys, which can work on the foot. You put your thumb down. I'll do it on my leg, and then you take your other hand and you put the heel of your hand on over your thumb like this, okay? So your thumb is just a tool. You're not actually using your thumb for pressure. The pressure is coming from the heel of the other hand, pushing in. So if you put your thumb where you want to put pressure, and then you can, it works really well in the foot, actually. Huh? Yeah, because then you're not using your thumb strength and ruining your thumbs. And anywhere you can get like that direct pressure coming from your body weight, leaning forward, it's mostly relevant when you're working on other people.
So that's about the only way I can feel it, is to go like...
Yeah, you can even go like that. Yeah, your feet are really yeah.
Go for it.
So you can get your elbow in there and just work on all the different surfaces of the foot. You can draw lines that like, so, let me see, where's my foot? There we go. So we've got, you know, the bones in the foot. They look like this. So then, and then the tendons kind of follow those bones, right? It's very tendinous in the foot. So on the bottom even, we can work, doesn't really show me the bottom of the foot, kind of here. But we can kind of follow those lines that the bones make. So you can kind of draw a line in between the toes all the way up to like this point here. And do like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the foot. Feels really nice. You can do the same thing on the hand. kind of following in between the bones.
It always does that.
It doesn't really matter for the
with
foot.
Lymph drainage.
The lymph drainage, and when you're working on, that's the most important, is working on the limbs, like the long bits. For the feet, it's okay, but if you do a lot of work on the feet, I would also do the lymph drainage going like this. Because if you release a lot in the foot and then your legs are tight, then it might get stuck and not be able to drain out. Does that make sense? Or if you have like some swelling in your knee, I wouldn't do too much on the foot. Yeah, to add to it. Yeah. And yeah, when you're doing a lot of massage, I wouldn't drink too much because you're adding more toxins to your system. And then it's just a lot for your body to process. Like alcohol, yeah. I would drink a lot of water. Coconuts are great, super good for your body and your muscles because of the magnesium. But yeah, one of the reasons they tell you to drink a lot of water after massage is to drain the toxins out of your system, so that when you, because we're releasing toxins into the system that are stuck in the muscle and the fascial tissue, right? So then they need to be able to, so drinking a lot of water just helps to like flush it all out. Anybody have any specific questions or things that are related to things they want to work on for their own body?
I always seem to have like this one spot right here, like really high, but like never like
yeah.
I've had this therapist go in there, and like I tried to ball on there. Just like doesn't want to be not tight.
Yeah. I mean, I would try, like, I mean, so the thing with this part of the leg is that the muscles are pretty big, and they can be, you know, like, if you think about your leg and like look at the picture. So this is your femur bone, and the bone is pretty thick, but like if you look at the bone compared to the one with the muscle on it, like most of it's muscle. So yeah, I mean, especially if it's something that's deep in there, it's hard to get to, right? But I would say you can just sit there like with your elbow in your leg. Like I would go in with your elbow. But like I would warm it up first and work through the layers, like one layer at a time. So like do the skin rolling first and try to do, like you can kind of get a little bit deeper with the skin rolling and like go in further and kind of be pushing the deeper, like the second, sort of, not the second, because there's a lot of different layers, but you know, if you think about it as like the first one and then going to the second layer and getting deeper and deeper. But then I would get in with your elbow and just hang out there for a while. Because it's you, so you can be patient with yourself, you know?
So we're manipulating muscle.
Yeah, yeah.
Tendon.
Yeah, so the tendon is what connects the muscle to the bone. And you can work on the tendons as well, yeah, but like they're harder to work on. It's easier to work on the muscle bellies. If you think about like what meat looks like, you know, you can see the striated nature of muscle tissue like this. And it's all, the cells of muscles are long, right? Tendon is much thicker and it's harder to work, but you can definitely, the tendon is always going to be around the joints, mostly. There's some tendons that connect like mid-bone, but most of them,
this guy here.
yeah, the Achilles tendon, yeah. Yeah, that, yeah.
Then I feel that one suddenly twinge, you know, it releases a bit.
Yeah. But the thing with the myofascial meridian lines too is that like the tension, you might feel it at the tendon, but it's like all along that line that's going to be tight. Yeah. So anything you can do to release all along the line is going to help with the tendons and where it connects.
You release the muscle, you release the tendon.
Yeah, I think so. Because it's just harder to work on the tendon. It's a lot denser of tissue, and like, I mean, they're made to be less, just like more indestructible, you know? They're made to have that level of tension and hold it, so. It's oh yeah, so, and then back to the feet, we'll do some more things. We can work on the toes. I like to do like circles with the toes. When I do, the way that I like to do this is like you give the toe, you can do this on the fingers and the toes, give it a little bit of a pull, and then do a rotation. But I like it with a little bit of pull. It depends on what you like, you know? I don't like my toes being like popped and yanked on. If you like that, do it.
They do that a lot here.
Yeah.
I don't really like that. Usually when they do it,
I don't,
they go for the big
yeah, they
toe,
like,
right?
they just yank on your toes. I don't like it.
I like flexing.
Yeah, flexing. Yeah, we can kind of, we can stretch our feet like this way, pulling them this way, and this way. Kind of give them a twist. It's really nice getting like both hands around your feet. Really working it out. You can get your hands around the top of your toes and kind of stretch them this way, stretch them this way. And then working some self-massage into your yoga practice is another thing that I want to work on a lot more. Like that's what's really nice about this one, with the knee in the calf, and doing the ones where you like grab your forearm with your leg and just like milk it out. But you can also, when you're laying down, you can get your fists for your back. You can get your fists under your back so your knuckles are on either side of your spine, and play around with that, or on either side of your sacrum and the hips. And this is something you can spend a while doing, and doing in different poses as well. But especially in like some yin yoga, or ones that like poses that you're going to stay in for a while. You want to be careful with massaging muscles that are on stretch. So like if a muscle is stretched out, that's not necessarily the one you want to work on. I would work on the one that's sort of squished. Does that make sense? So like the other side from the stretch, the antagonist. So like if your hips are open like this, you can work on the outside. And when they're in, you can work on the inside. And then I think that there's ways that you can work on your body on the inside when you're doing some yoga things, like the ones where you're sort of down on your shoulder, and you can kind of feel it massaging your shoulder from the inside, and sort of moving a little bit back and forth, and creating that massage on the inside in the yoga poses. But thinking about it in a sense that you're massaging yourself as well as doing the yoga is a cool way to think about it. Yeah. What else did we not do? I don't know, did we go over everything? I kind of talked about this, right? How massage works by increasing circulation and manually breaking up the muscle fibers, right? And draining the toxins and bringing in nutrients. So if you think about it like, and you can do it with your breath, which is really helpful, because literally you're bringing in fresh oxygenated blood with all the nutrients into the area. And when you're rubbing something, you're bringing the blood to the area. And sometimes when you're working on something a lot, it'll start to get pink, which is a sign of, it's called hyperemia. And that's a good thing. We like that. And what it means is that you're bringing the blood to the area so that it's able to bring in the nutrients and drain out the toxins. So that's something we want. One of the ways that we can do that, which actually I missed this one, is cross tissue. So we didn't do the deep tissue ones as much. So one of the ones you can do is the deep stripping, which is really, really slow. There's not a lot of places that it's really easy to do this on yourself besides like the arms and the legs that I've found, unless you're doing it with the ball. But like you're working really, really slow. Right now I'm doing it with my forearm on my quad. And when you're doing this, like when I do it, I'm barely moving. Like you can barely tell that it's like the slowest snail pace. And generally with these ones, you want to be going towards the heart. And you can go pretty deep, but like really, really slow. And then the other technique I wanted to show you guys is doing cross tissue. So like if we look at the body, most of our muscles are striated long, like the muscle fibers go lengthwise, right? Mostly. Some of them go across, but like to do the cross tissue, we're going across those striations in the muscle fibers, right? So the stripping generally goes with the muscle fibers, sometimes not. And then the cross tissue generally goes across them, but you can go in different directions. You can go like cross this way, cross that way, cross this way, and you're just working on breaking up those muscle tissues.
Just the whole point, break up the muscle, let the blood in.
Yeah, let the blood in and it flushes things out. Yeah, exactly.
What do you think about the Khmer rubbing?
Oh, when they do
Coin
like,
rubbing.
yeah.
That's basically...
Yeah, it's a lot of what it is bringing the blood to the area so that your body can come in and heal it. Like, I don't really believe as myself as a healer as much as like your body is the healer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm just there to facilitate it. And when you're doing it on yourself, yeah, you're not really being the healer. Your body is the healer. And you're just like giving it what it needs, like being like, hey, over here. And I feel like that with the scraping and stuff.
Okay.
That's just being like, hey, body, come over here, deal with this issue. There's something you have to do here. Come pay attention to it. Yeah, but it's a nice thing to do. Like you can do self-massage where it's really intense, or you can do it where it's really calming and relaxing and just to put yourself to sleep, you know? But it's a great tool for all of your needs. Okay.
Thank you, Jen.
You're welcome. Any other questions? You can, if anybody needs anything or wants to feel what anything feels like from
Relax.
me, yeah, you can just relax. And we're all good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.